Welcome, everyone, to this live event on rethinking global issues brought to you by Teaching English team and by our team in Sub-Saharan Africa. So while we're arriving, please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're joining us from. If you're in Zoom, please use the chat for comments and to answer questions, and the Q&A for any questions you have for our presenters. If you're watching live on Facebook, leave answers and questions in the comments section. Today we have two sessions with two hosts and four wonderful presenters from Sub-Saharan Africa, all focused on how we can rethink global issues in the classroom. I'm Julia Stanton, your event host, and we're about to start our first session, AI for Equity in the English Language Classroom, with our host Linda Rus and our presenter Mohammed Saif Al-Din Hamza. Welcome. Okay, Linda, I can now pass over to you and you can start. Enjoy the event, everyone.
Thanks very much, Julia, and hello, English teachers around the world. I'm Linda Ruas, and this is the presenter, Mohammed Saeed Al-Din Hamza. I'm in the UK, Mohammed is in Sudan. Where are you joining us from today? Tell us in the chat. I can see we have so many viewers from several different countries. How are you, Mohammed? Before we start, I'll tell you a little bit about Mohammed. He's a Sudanese educator, trainer, and presenter. He's also a master's student researching AI in education, an advocate for equity and disability rights, and a member of ELDA, English Language Development Association in Sudan. And Mohammed has a visual impairment, and he's actually been blind since birth. So we're really happy to welcome him here. He's going to tell you more about that and how that helps teachers. Let's get started. Are you ready, Mohammed?
Yes, really, and excited.
Great. Okay, let's share the presentation. Over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So my name is Mohammed Saif, and I'm from Sudan. For many, AI is just a buzzword, but for us, for me, equity means accessibility. As Linda just told you, I was born blind, so when I was learning, my learning was dictated by others' availability. I would get the books to my mom and she would read everything for me. But then came technology, then came AI. From that dependent learner, I am now independent learner, teacher educator, and a content creator. They helped me to prepare for my own exams. Now I'm helping others to prepare for their exams. But that could not happen without the human center, without accessibility, and without AI. And as I said, it was the difference between being left behind and having a voice. Today, we're not just talking about technology. We are talking about opening doors, breaking down barriers. So let's look at our objective. This slide is talking about what we are going to do. We have specific goals. Firstly, we would like to define the context of educational equity and its meaning in the age of AI. Examine the opportunities and risks for teaching, learning, and assessment. Apply the three-tier equity models for low, assistive, and enriched tech. This is a model that works with everyone, whether you have high tech or you don't have, or you're working offline with no internet at all, we have got you covered. It's a brilliant model. And we are going to learn how to integrate AI-centered principles. Like what? Like transparency, fairness, accessibility, and teacher agency. So this is what we are going to do. Now, let's move to the next slide. Okay, let's start with a question. I want to ask you a hard question. Who do you think AI is really for. Okay, so I would love if you tell me in the chat, do you think it's for example, big business, government? Please let us know what do you think in the chat. And Linda, would you share some of the responses?
Yes, of course, Mohammed could see the chat, but he needs his assistive technology on, which interrupts. So I'll be reading back from the chat. Most people are saying E, all of the above. Wow, everybody, in fact, is saying E, all of the above. Interesting.
It's very interesting. Thank you everyone for participating. I'm always saying the chat will always add. So keep sharing, ask questions, and comment if you like. And we are always happy to hear from you. So yes, I can see that people are mostly they agree about this, but we have to focus on the human because if we don't intentionally design it for human, the answer will default to profit. So yes. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, we'd like to know who's in the room. We already, I have read some of the things using the screen readers. I have people from Thailand, Turkey, and so on, which is so lovely. But I would like to ask you another question. To understand equity, I'd like to know your reality, which describe your context. Reflect and share what your classroom looks like. So we would like to know how are the things in your end so we can apply the best policy because equity starts with understanding the context. So again, Linda,
We have so
would
many
like.
responses here. So several people are putting A, which is the high-speed broadband. Several people are putting D. So it's mostly a mixture of A and D, the high-tech classroom and the mostly offline, and several Bs and Cs as well, mostly A and D.
Brilliant. If I were to type in the chat, I would say C2 because in Sudan, internet and power are, we have no stability of internet and power. Yet, this is not an excuse. Equity and AI can work with all of the contexts. So yeah, thank you again for sharing your perspectives. So yeah, now we're going to move to the next slide. That talks about the equity imperative. We've been talking about equity, but why equity matters now? Why it is essential to have equity? Let's look at these facts. These statistics really keep me up at night. So, firstly, the first statistic from the World Bank, and we'd like to know your opinion. Which do you think is most shocking? 1 in every 3 learners in low/middle income countries have no reliable internet. And more than 40% of schools, they say what? They don't have reliable internet. Sorry, the reliable infrastructure, digital infrastructure. So I am using a screen reader, so sometimes I have to fill in the words by myself, but it doesn't go sometimes as intended. Okay, and the connectivity gap, it's not shrinking, everyone. It's widening, and it's widening by 19% since 2019 up to 2023, the time of publishing this. And most importantly, AI tools, if left unchecked, can what? Can risk amplifying biases against accents, dialects, and disabilities. These, remember, these are the very people we aim to support. If we do not, if we are not careful, AI will not be a bridge. It will be a high wall. So I would like to know.
Yeah, we have loads of answers in the
Yeah.
chat. Mostly C, people are most shocked by, but many, I think the second one is A, and the third most shocking. They're all shocking, aren't they? Of course.
Yes, I
Third
think
most
so.
shocking is B, but C mainly.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I think that, as Linda says, I say that all statistics are very shocking. So, what can we do as teachers? We're all here teachers. What do you think we can do for this injustice that are happening? Okay, we are the human firewall. This is our role. We ensure that everyone get equitable access. We design lessons around individual and students' needs. So when we are designing lessons, we have to put in mind our students. What do they need? And we have to provide for them. And we have to adapt lessons so students with disability or students with special abilities can learn alongside their peers. So if you have one lesson, let's work on adapting this lesson. Create, for example, create a voice version of this lesson, create a song, create a game, and the same lesson could be many interesting things. So that's what I do. I turn the lesson into an audio summary on summarized audio format. I turn it into a beautiful song, a visual mind maps and posters. So this is what we need to do. And most importantly, yeah, the idea of integrating people with special abilities, which I represent, we have to integrate them into the equation because we can learn from and with persons with special abilities. And just last Wednesday was the International Day of Persons with Disability. I hope you have learned something new in that day, which was titled, or the theme of that day was what? Was the theme talking about fostering disability for social advancement. So we have to foster, not just deal with disability. So we have to provide multimodal options. As I was saying, we know that our students can be visual learners. We have to provide them mind maps. We have to provide for them. We have to give them also visuals, posters, drills, all of these things so they can learn best the way they learn best. For auditory learners like me, we can generate songs, we can generate summaries, we can generate spoken audios. With regard to assessment, we have to ensure that mastery, not format count. So that's it. We have to ensure that when you assess your students, for example, there are always the questions that I hate in geography that says, in drawing, show us the map of Sudan, exemplifying and supporting your answers with diagrams. I know the answers. Of course I do. But I don't know how to draw them in the paper. So we have to ensure that mastery is counts, not just the way we want the answer to be. As human, we bring the ethics. We ensure the tech serves the child. So mastery, not format, again. Okay. So we've been talking about how human can get technology, or as I say, teachers oversight gets it right. So as human, we have some principles in the next slide. These principles are from the British Council, and they are going to be our compass.
Can I just say that you asked for what else, and people are putting some of the comments in the chat, Mohammed, just so great ideas. Christina put one suggestion that we have to use both AI and traditional methods and find a balance, which I think is key there. And Lalisa was talking about multiple formats. And this is really great ideas to add to what you're saying. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you so much for reminding me. I got carried away. Thank you, everyone, for these great responses. And yes, we must always provide an offline alternatives. So yeah, that's amazing. So these principles that we're going to talk about are going to be our compass. Okay? We must respect human agency, privacy, and data governance. So human agency, privacy, data governance must be respected. Individual, social, and environmental impact, because AI got also some environmental impact that I get to learn about, and we have to put this in mind too. Yes. Transparency, accountability, and oversight. We also have to pay attention to the idea of accountability and oversight. Who is responsible for AI and who is going to be held accountable if it makes mistake? Because algorithms can predict the next word, but only a teacher can protect the next generation. So yeah, I would like to know, what do you think about this? These principles that we talked about, the AI principles from the British Council, our guiding stars. So do we have any responses?
Yeah, people are putting that most people feel transparency is the
Yes.
most important, very important. People are not saying how, but this is a big question, isn't it? How can these affect the teaching? Some people say accountability as well, personal involvement. Yeah, lots of interaction here.
Yeah, we really need to be transparent about, of course, the AI companies, they sometimes use our data. They have to be transparent how they use it, how we can not allow them to use it. So this is something really important. Yes, these are all great points. Thank you so much for adding them. We're happy to listen, for me at least, to listen to your opinions. Okay, so we are going to talk about how we can use AI to advance equity. So we've been talking about equity. We'd like to learn how we can actually do that. Okay, so to advance equity, we can use assistive features. Assistive features, all of the modern devices got some features in them that gives or support some users, and we can use that. For example, do you know that every computer and a modern smartphone got a screen reader? For Android, they call it TalkBack. For iOS, they call it VoiceOver. And for the laptop, they call it Narrator. And also there are screen readers that you can install. We can use this. Font size and magnifiers, if you would like your stuff to get bigger in the screen, you have a problem maybe, for example, is going to be very helpful. So these are already there. We have to learn how to use it to advance equity. You have someone who've got a problem with their vision, try to use the magnifiers. If they can't see at all or they prefer to listen, try to use a screen reader. So we have to be resourceful in every situation. So yes. So we have also, as I say, adapt to each student's space. So we can also provide scaffolding where needed, because AI can adapt to student space. And if you learn about your students, for example, you could say Muhammad is at the level of A1, he'd like to learn beginner English from this book. You can upload the book, for example, and the AI will provide direction. The AI will provide the volume and will continue to support the learner. And if AI faced a problem, you can intervene as a teacher and you can provide the needed support. So that's what it's all about. So these are the ways that we can use AI to advance equity. We can use assistive features. We can adapt to students' lessons. And always, what I do, I try to ask the students to be open and share the problems with me, so I can choose the right tool to deal with it. Do we have any other suggestions in the chat?
Nothing else at the moment. About over-reliance on AI, for example, affecting creativity and critical thinking skills. Too much dependence. This is what people are saying.
Yeah, brilliant. This is all brilliant, and we're going to talk actually about critical thinking in a bit. So, AI tools, if left again unchecked, can penalize this accent and disability-related speech. If you have stammering and if you cannot, like for example, speak in the right way, not the right way, there is no right way, but what I say in the normal or standard way, you are going to be penalized or you are going to face some problems with AI tools because you are a non-norm learners. So it actually happened with me when I was trying to register at a bank, an online bank. When we come to the face verification, it keeps saying, please open your eyes. So because there is just one way for it, You have to have an eyes. It has to be open. So open your eyes. This is AI. If you left AI without humans oversight, this can happen. And for a bank customer like me, this is inconvenient. But for a learner, that's a tragic thing. That's an entire tragedy. And access asymmetry deepens inequality. Already, there are people with great access, and people like us, for example, here in Sudan, who are struggling in every sense of the word. So yeah, this can add harm. Also, data privacy. As a teacher, you are responsible for the students you teach. You also have to be aware of data privacy. And I advise, for example, you can turn on the temporary chat so you can keep your students safe. For example, if you have something like sensitive you'd like to share with, let's say, ChatGPT, it's a good way to safeguard your students. So yeah. Um, do we have any things that are shared in the chat with regard to this point?
We had one, I think, from the Telegram group that we need to be aware of plagiarism. And that's a really important thing. And there are
That's
some
very
questions about
important.
how can we how can we test and prove the authenticity of anything that's produced by AI, and also that we need to help and train students to use it properly.
Yes, of course. This is very important idea of training. That's why I have volunteered to train students at my college, especially students with disabilities, because it's a lifeline for them. So we have to train it. AI comes with a problem. Or the authenticity has been mentioned, and it's a problem. But how can we deal with that? There are tools that are there. They can check the authenticity of anything, like Turnitin. All of these tools can check if this is, for example, is a plagiarism. Also, don't forget Quillbot, all of these AI checkers. And we have to use our critical thinking. We have to be aware of the idea of plagiarism because it's now easier more than ever. So when we're talking about the perils, sorry, we must take action against bias and asymmetry. So what can we do? Personally, I try to use posters. I try to use voice notes to get how to create something on the go quickly so we can when I am in a very, for example, hurried situation, I try to pilot different AI support because my students are different. So I try to do that. So here you can see NVDA, text-to-speech, 11 Labs. These are tools that can support our students and in order to convert the book into spoken audio, in order to we also got song generation like Suno AI, and I have generated lots of songs to do lots of things, including a song that I generated for teacher educators in sub-Saharan Africa to teach them about AI. And I will try to sing you a verse, okay? Just don't mind the voice, but I'll try. Okay, it says, eyes our guide, our friend, our spark, turning limits into marks, teacher's guide, the future's near. Africa's voice is loud and clear. It helps us strive, helps us teach, makes every learner within reach. So yeah, this is a brilliant way to teach people about things and to make things easier to remember. So I use these tools with my students. I don't like also to use games. Um, I'd like to use games. So I believe that learning can be fun. So with games, you can get the students to go out of the routine of studying books and tech, and they can learn. They can learn better actually. So all of these suggestions that I tell you, how can you uh, how can you use it in your own classroom? Or do you have any suggestions for other things that we can use? Maybe I can use in my classrooms. So what do we have in the chat, Linda?
Well, we have lots of comments saying how wonderful your voice is for a start, Mohammed. So thank you
Thank
for
you so
that
much.
song. So everybody loved that. Excellent. There are some people with some suggestions. one option we can consider from Farhana is to guard against the perils, the commitment to the responsibilities and accountabilities. And another suggestion, creating readers' theatre with AI prompts and gamification, people agreeing with that. Kahoot,
Yeah.
Quizlet, this sort of thing.
Yes, Kahoot quiz. I think people are already doing very well. So yeah, I think this is a good way. And thank you for raising my voice. I think I might advance or might consider a career in music as well. So yeah.
I think you can.
So I also created many songs, including a song that encourages children to what? To balance between their study and their games on the screen. It says click, play, pause, and grow. Life is a garden, let it show. Learn, create, and laugh and run. Screens are part, but not the sun. I'm not going to say this in a I'm not going to say this like the previous time. Let's just say the words so you can also use those to create poems. So we have a practical framework in the next slide that's called the three-tier equity models. So whether you are in Sudan with intermittent power and very bad internet connection, or whether you are in everywhere else, you can use this three-tier equity model. Okay, to ensure no learner is left out. Okay, we have tier one, low tech, teacher led. If you have no or low technology, it's going to be teacher led. You have to be in control. But you can still use AI if you have your own smartphone, maybe to brainstorm ideas, to get suggestions for games, suggestion for how can I say it? You can get suggestion for example, like songs. You can get suggestion to make the lesson different and interactive. You can also create instant posters. If you can create an image with, for example, ChatGPT, you can print it straight away. So you can also do that. Um, it works anywhere. Okay, tier two, assistive tech. So now we have some text, smartphones, we have laptops, but maybe it's offline. We can use assistive features I talked about. You can use screen readers, for example, to help students read. You can use font sizes. You can use even voice recorders. You can record some of the lessons. You can get the students to sing, for example, and record them. So what I mean here, we have devices, but we're going to only use the assistive features in this device. Or assistive technology, because it's a wide and broad terminology. It encompasses high and low tech. It can be AI tools like high tech or low tech like pencils grip, even wheelchairs, white canes. These are assistive technology because they help or they assist. So yeah, this is the second tier. It helps to bridge gap. And we have the third tier, the highest one. We call it this is tier three, when we use adaptive platforms and cloud AI. For example, like Model. I know that some of you use Model. These are fully online automated systems where you can get spreadsheets, data about your students. And this is also a very wonderful idea that if you have the tool for it, you can go for it, but only with teachers' oversight. And teachers' oversight gets it right. Because as I said, AI tools, if left unchecked, can actually cause harm more than good. So as teachers, we have to put ourselves first. Teacher agency is important. Yes, so we cannot wait for a perfect internet in order to teach excellent lessons. So what do we have about the models, what people are saying?
People are discussing loads of other questions at the moment and being very impressed by your presentation, but I don't think, and asking questions which we'll go to afterwards. Maria says one comment, it's support, but it doesn't replace humans.
Definitely, yes.
Which is a
Thank
great
you, Mary.
point. So thank you, Mohammed.
Okay, we are going to talk about safeguarding. How do we safeguard our students? And how do we safeguard? Firstly, in terms of lesson design, we can do what? We can set differentiated goals because students are different. So we have to give them different environments to learn so they can get the support they need and shine and fly in their own way. So, yes, for example, A1, A2, and we can set the AI to act as a B1 learner, for example, or a B1, C1, A1, and it works wonderfully. So we have to check the AI prompt. So ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transform. So what the generative AI does, it makes stuff up. It makes stuff up. Mostly, this goes well, but we have to put the idea of critical thinking. It's been shared a little while ago in the chat. We have to always critically think about AI generated prompts because they are not always right. Human oversight keeps it right. Again. So yeah, and we have to check if these tools are going to be good with non-norm learners. So if I have a stammer or if I am blind, so is this tool going to work wonderfully with me or is going to be a problem? So we have to check as a teacher, we have to check this beforehand. Also, the idea of appeal processes, human review and appeal process. When we want to assess, we have to always put the human in the center. See and check, review the assessments that AI is making as a human because AI does not understand the context as you do. AI don't know about Muhammad. AI don't know about Steve. So we have to be aware. We have to be aware of what of these things when we assess our learners to safeguard them. So do you have any additional things you want to say about the safeguarding everyone and assessment?
I think people seem to be slightly worried about trusting AI. We've got several questions about how to trust, how to check, and examples in the chat of context, for example, universities and exams where only a few people pass now because people are using AI too much. Yeah, this is a huge topic, obviously, as we know. No more specific things, I don't think, about lessons, but lots of interaction, lots of ideas and questions for when we finish in a few minutes.
Yes. Okay, everyone. I do appreciate all of your questions, and hopefully, we're going to get a chance to respond to them when we finish. Thank you so much for the interaction. Let's please keep it up, everyone. Thank you so much. So let's look at the next slide that shows an example. So how this is how I do it. This is how it looks like in my own classroom. So I had a lesson. This lesson I did what? I have let Copilot to generate questions for me, and we answered it. ChatGPT created question cards, and we recorded our answers. Gemini was our speaking partner. We used Gemini to mock the exam. So the AI was providing the volume. I provided connection and direction and also feedback. So we have another example, and I was outdoor and the electricity, there is no need to complete it. I wish that, maybe it will happen again. So the electricity, the power was off and we were outside, no textbooks. So we used what? Gamma to create the slides. And we created the articles with Copilot. And we have created listening materials with Google AI Studio. So Google AI Studio is a platform for developers and also for the public. You can generate dialogues with different speakers from scratch if you have the text, and you can also create movie scenes, podcast script, and all of this is actually wonderful. I was working on and I'm still working on a movie for some of the most difficult lessons that I have, and I hope that it might help my students. It's going to be just 5 minutes movie, If you are at the British Council Sub-Saharan Africa Telegram group, I'm going to actually be able to show you the movie. So yeah. So this is what we need. Also, yeah, we have used, with regard to the equity angle, we've used our phones. Yeah, but all of these things, all tasks are workable offline with print alternatives. So if we wanted to do it in a print way, this is actually very possible. Um, yes, this is what I want to say about my examples, and I think that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening and for interacting, and I would like to hear your questions.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. And that is so interesting. And everyone is obviously very interested in the chat, putting lots of examples, questions, worries. And we've got some time now to answer some of the questions at least.
Yes.
Very interesting question to start with, relating back to your situation of teaching under a tree in Sudan when there was no electricity. A question
Yes.
from Madeira.
Mhm.
The use of AI in refugee settlements. How can people in refugee settlements use AI? Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, in Sudan, there is a viral video that shows a teacher sitting under a tree with young students, and he was using his own smartphone, showing AI generated pictures, also showing the students some videos on YouTube. So learning can happen anywhere. And in Sudan, people are very resilient and they are studying under, for example, difficult situation. And I don't know how even this teacher got to charge his smartphone. It was in a refugee camp, but if it were in Sudan, where there is 55% of the school, they are closed, not because of the war only, but because some of the refugees, they came to the schools and they are now living there. So this can work anywhere, and we have seen lots of schools under trees, online, via WhatsApp. Learning doesn't stop, and we can try to work it out if we just put our mind to it. Yes.
This is why you're the perfect person to talk about this, with your experience of visual impairment
Yeah.
and your experience of living in Sudan, where of course there are a lot of refugee camps, and you have that very low tier classrooms. Thank you for that. Great. Another question from Susanna. Are there any free tools? So we haven't talked about the money that these cost yet.
Yes. All of these tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, they have a generous free tier capabilities that we can use. And I have, for example, if you'd like to generate images, I think ChatGPT can give you 3 images, and Copilot would give you 20 images per month. But you don't need to create that much image. If you combine ChatGPT and Copilot, I think it would be 110. You don't need to create 110 images. So I think you can use the very generous free capabilities that already comes with the AI tools, and you are going to do great. I think with Gemini, the limits are much, much better. I have generated like 20 to 30 images and nothing happened. So per day. So I think you can do very well with that and try to use the free capabilities. And as I said, I'm talking to you from Sudan. And by the way, some of these features, even if we want to pay for them, Sudan is currently excluded. So yeah.
Okay, so it's different costs in different parts of the world, maybe, and you have a number of free uses per day. It seems to be restricted like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Depending on the tool. So you need to share with other people to see what is free at the time, yeah, and who can access it. Great. Okay, yeah, lots more questions here. And this thing about not trusting AI. There's a question from Macaire here. Are we
Mm.
checking AI production or students' production? So how can we check the students' work, and can we check that the AI they've used is true and trustworthy?
My master's research is actually about critical thinking, how we can critically think about AI generated results, and especially for educators. So this is a very important topic. You don't need to trust. There are tools, there are strategies you can use. You can ask ChatGPT, for example, the AI tool, to show its thinking by saying, please show its thinking. How did you reach to this conclusion? Give me the links you have used, and you can check it by yourself. So you don't have to always trust AI materials. But I think AI works. It works for me. Do you know how I got to this Zoom? And how do I know the people they are there? And how do I read the point? I use AI. So if it worked for me, it can work for you. AI for me, it means image description, text to speech. So even in the web, if there is a picture, I get to, firstly, I don't even know if there is a picture. But now with AI, things have improved significantly, and I think it's for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and you are living proof of that, of course. Yes.
Yes.
Somebody asked in the chat, AI is created by humans, but who is checking the AI that the humans created? How do we go that far back?
Yeah, so we've been talking about accountability and oversight in our British Council framework, which is very important. We have to get the human in the loop. Who is responsible if AI makes mistake? Because we have heard some stories about AI writing a column about someone's death. So yeah, in a magazine, it's not published, but when you ask it to do something, it can generate stuff like this. So yeah, we have to make sure that there is someone that can be held accountable if AI makes mistake.
Yeah. And becoming a bit more practical now, we've got lots of questions about practical classroom applications. One nice question here from Ahazij.
Mhm.
What are the most useful apps, AI apps, that could help teachers to change script into audio with different English language accents? Have you come across any of those?
Yes, especially in Sudan, people are complaining that the listening materials, sometimes they don't have, for example, a way to play them, or sometimes, so the tech, for example, in the refugee camp, what can we do? Of course, we can generate high quality listening materials from scratch. As teachers, we have to be creative. I like the saying in one of the British Council webinars about becoming e-moderator, skills for the future. It says we are no longer generators of knowledge, we are generators of resources. So try to check Google AI Studio. If you enter the link, you can be able to enter a dialogue, speaker one, and you have to put what the speaker one says, speaker two, the speakers two speech, and you can create, as I said, podcasts. You can create a movie scene, and we have storytelling. We have news. So if you like the tone to be like how they would say it in the news, how like when you tell a story. So you can do lots of things, actually, lots of capabilities.
What about creating different English language accents, though? Because that was
Yes, it
one of the parts of
supports.
the questions. Have you come across, do you just ask Google AI, I want a Midlands accent or an Australian accent, for example?
Yes, I have created
Yeah.
a an audio for an article that talks about uh, educational context in Nigeria, and I was able to find a high quality African voice. I didn't even know that this exists, but I tell it that I need English speaking African voice, and I wish that if I could share it with you. Of course, if you are in the English Sub-Saharan Africa again, COP, I'm going to be able to share that with you. It's very high quality, and it's wonderful. Yeah.
Great. And it's about sharing, isn't it? What people find and share with others and other people
Love
can
it.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Another question here from no name. Could you let us know how we can use AI to scaffold writing in the classroom? Any ideas?
Writing, that's brilliant.
Mm.
So AI can be your writing partner. So AI does not write for you, it writes with you. For example, I'd like to write an article about or a story about stuff. So AI will give me the hints and I will build on that. AI will not build it or will not write it entirely for me. We can use AI as a writing partner. You can just create a prompt, say, I would like you to be my writing partner. We would like to write about, for example, and you can put the topic, and AI will try to give you the hints, will assess your writing. and show you the way forward, how to improve and stuff like that. I know that because I have done that myself. I have a problem with writing. I can speak very well, but when you want me to write something, especially if it's summarized, I don't know how to do that. But yeah.
Great. Okay. And I've seen that Steve has shared in the chat some of your own notes about some of the costs of some of these websites that you
Thank you
use.
so
Yeah,
much, Steve.
which
Yeah.
is great. Yeah, that's writing. Great. Another question from Vinitha. How can AI help improve the speaking skill of students?
What a brilliant question. Okay, we can use the features that already are there in Gemini. There is voice call. You can even share your screen, by the way, if you have something that you don't understand in the screen. It works wonderfully. And there is also voice call in ChatGPT, Copilot, Perplexity. Almost all of the tools, the current tools, the AI tools, have a speech to speech capability.
Okay, that's great. And it's interaction, isn't it? It can be interactive and live. Yeah, great. Okay.
Yes.
What about a question from Irene here? How does AI cater for the practical aspects of learning in a classroom setting where you have to capture the competency of learners? So again, about assessment.
Yes, this is actually a wonderful question because how AI can cater for these learners. Actually, AI can provide support for them, especially those who are behind, can provide them with support. You only have to, as a teacher, you have to put the input and the way for the AI to go, and AI can help your students, especially as I said, the struggling students, and they can do very well. So it's not about AI is not going to do all of the work for you. AI is going to be there to give you is going to lend you a hand, be your assistant. It's going to give you some help, but you don't have to expect everything from AI. And yeah, I forgot to share that there is actually feature of voice cloning. You can even clone your own voice if you'd like your students to memorize you at home, for example. There is a definition, a formula. You can use your own voice. Currently, I think the free tiers allow for specified numbers of characters, but you can expect to see that in the future very widespread.
Okay, thank you. And that relates to some of the other questions
Mm.
earlier on something like, is AI killing human thinking? What do you think about that one?
No, I think AI is not killing human thinking. AI only kills human thinking if you want it to. But you can use AI to help you with your project and to do great things. I have been able to accomplish far, far great things. I am currently working as a graphic designer, and imagine for someone who really can't see, that could be a bit challenging. But AI can describe this image is like this and this. Is there any logo in the image, for example? Is this image visually appealing? So if you want to do something with AI, you can actually get better at this thing by letting the AI do the repetitive task, and you can focus on, for example, the creativity. So if you would like to solve your exercises, if you'd like to be lazy, AI can help you. But if you would like to get creative, you can also use AI. Because if you don't use it, you are going to be left behind. It's already there and it's there to stay.
Yeah, great answer. Yes, and this is a balance, isn't it, about lazy or not? There was a question about what about creativity in the classroom? Do you think AI can help creativity, help you be more creative, or do we need the human side for that?
Yeah, I was trying today, I think last week, to teach my students about the daily routine vocabulary. And they don't. They just say that I wake up and it's just done. So I created a song, and we were singing it. All of the class remembers how to speak about their daily routine. You can get creative, of course, with the AI. If there is specific mathematical formula that cause a problem for you, for example, you can use mind maps. You can create posters and hang it on the wall. You can teach your students about many things using different ways and different methods. And it's all about creativity, as you just said.
Sounds great. What about keeping an eye on students, though? A question from Noah in the Q&A. What measures can teach us to stop students cheating? and making errors?
This is something that is very big. And I will tell you, I have no answer for this, but I'll tell you what I do. I really be open with my students. I tell them that I actually use AI with them in the classroom to brainstorm activities and stuff. But what I say is, um, if you were able to come up with something, you have to at least be able to explain it. So if I think that, for example, this passage that's written by Linda is AI generated, I'm going to tell her to explain what does this mean. So you have to engage your students, and there is actually something called the research-based classroom. It's a course I have studied in the Teaching English British Council, and I think we can try to research the capabilities, the biases, get your students involved, and let them be your co-researchers. So I think that we have to be honest, and we have to build trust between you and your students. And you have to get better to know AI so you can identify whether it's written by AI or not. Because I can identify about lots of AI generated content because I have dealt with AI and I've taken many online courses. But you can do that too. So if you are scared about AI, that's okay. But what have you done to detect and to solve these problems? So,
So it's all about experience, isn't it? And trying
yes.
out and again sharing with other people who are using them, I think. What's your favorite app for enhancing creativity?
I don't have a favorite app. I see what works best. And currently I am using Gemini with the Gemini 3. It's actually the best model out there. It's great with regard to getting the answers you need. It's better at understanding, and the thinking is very well, far better than the GPT-5. But that's just my opinion. I see if there is an app that can do what I want better, that will be my favorite app.
Okay, great. And I think just time for one more question before we finish. This is a question from all the followers on Facebook. Is the
Mhm.
type of prompt that we give to AI important? That's a question from Mahruz.
Of course, because AI is just, as I said, generative AI will take what you give and will try to what? Try to search for its large data that it has, so they can generate, or it can generate the output. For example, Humpty Dumpty sat on the
Wall.
wall, right? But we have remembered the song, I think. AI will just search and will complete it with a wall. Even though it could be completed with a chair, it could be with a train, it's okay. But as I said, AI is not thinking like us. If you know how AI thinks, you can, for example, give it a persona. Act like you are an English language teacher who's working in Sudan with low resource environment. I would like you to help me to create a lesson plan for lesson number 4 in the uploaded book. Oh, in uploaded, you have to know to give specific context and clarity to AI so you can get AI to generate the right response. So the prompt deeply, deeply matter. Thank you so much for sharing this because,
Great.
as I said, it's the topic of my master's degree, so I can talk
Yeah.
tomorrow about that.
Yeah, and the specificity of the prompt is so important, isn't it? So
Yeah,
no more time for more questions, I'm afraid. Thank you so much, Mohammed, and I'd like to hand back to Julia now to close.
thank you so much.
Thanks again to Mohammed, Linda, and thanks again to Linda, Mohammed, and our moderators, Melissa and Abel on Zoom, and we am on Facebook. We also want to take the chance to tell you about the call for presenters for 2026 and 2027. This is your chance to become a webinar presenter for teaching English. On the screen, you can see more details about this, and we'll put links in the comments. Good luck if you apply. We'll be back in 15 minutes for the next webinar about climate action in ELT with 4 fantastic presenters from around sub-Saharan Africa. We hope to see you then. Goodbye for now, everyone.